A very good morning to one and all. My name is Naresh, working as a physics teacher. Today, I stood in front of you to explain about reflection of light. Now, we heard in our daily life, we heard the term light in number of times. Light has a major importance in our life and plays a vital role. Generally, the light exhibits a dual nature. Light exhibits the dual nature. What are those natures? First one is it exhibits the particle nature and exhibits the wave nature. So this is the two natures that has been exhibited by the light. One is the particle nature and another one is the wave nature. See, here this wave nature has been used to explain the phenomenon of reflection and refraction. Now in this session, we are going to discuss about the reflection of light. Now we are able to see the things around us. For suppose I am able to see the books and I am able to see this wall and I am able to see this bench. So this is because of the reflection only. It means in a single sentence we can say that we are able to see the things because of reflection of light. Now the question is, what is reflection? For suppose here this is the teacup which is situated at certain place. Now we are able to see the teacup which is placed on a table because of the reflection of light. How we are able to see? Let us consider a light. This is the light source or the source of light we may call. Now from here the light rays are falls on a object. See the light which is emitted from the light. The light source we are collecting from the light rays we are collecting from the source of light. So these rays are falls on a object. Now this is the light ray which is incident on an object. After incident it reflects back. This reflected ray will reach our eye. So this is the reason behind we are able to see the things. And here once observe the direction of the light rays are moving in different directions. But whatever the direction it takes place, always they are traveled along a straight line path. So that the movement of the light along a straight line is called rectilinear propagation of light. The movement of a light or the propagation of a light along the straight line, that is called rectilinear propagation of light. It means once if you observe this diagram, in this light rays are moving in different directions. But each and every light ray should be in straight line. So this propagation of light in a straight line path is called rectilinear propagation. Now the question is, what is the reflection? What is reflection? So let me explain with the diagram. So let us consider a reflecting object. The reflecting object I consider is a mirror. So this is the surface which is able to reflect, and the shaded area of this part represents the non-reflecting surface. Let me consider a light ray which is coming from the source of light. See, we may get so many number of light rays. Number of light rays are emitted by the source of light. Let us consider a one light source. Now it is coming from the source and is incident at one point. So where it is incident, that point we have to consider as a O is called point of incident. For suppose here I gave the name of this object mirror as MM dash. Here MM dash means it is nothing but a mirror or reflecting surface. Mirror or reflecting surface. Now this is a light ray. I gave this light ray name as a P. P is the incident light ray which is coming from the source of light and is incident at point O. Where the light strikes the mirror surface, that point should be noted as O, and that O is called point of incidence, and that O is called point of incidence. O is called point of incidence. Now after incident a light ray on the surface of an object, let me consider the normal from the point of incidence. So this is the normal. This is the normal which is constructed from the point of incidence. Say the name of the line is a normal. Normal means ON is a straight line which is called a normal. After incident, the light undergoes reflection. Why it undergoes reflection? Because the reflected ray has the ability, say the reflecting object we are considered as a mirror, it has the ability to reflect the light rays incident on it. Here one light ray is incident on the mirror surface, then it is reflected back. So this reflected ray I can take as a Q, where Q is the reflected ray and P is incident ray. Now look at here, this incident ray will make some angle with the normal. That angle is known as angle of incidence. So here we can take I is the angle of incidence. I is known as angle of incidence. And the reflected ray, while it is reflecting or while it is leaving from the surface of the reflecting object, it makes another angle that is called angle R, where angle R is called angle of reflection. See, what is the angle of incidence? The angle made by incident ray and normal is called angle of incidence, and the angle made by incident reflected ray and normal, that is called angle of reflection. Now, for suppose here we consider the reflection takes place. If there is no reflection takes place on the surface of the reflecting object, the light usually it is moving along this direction. It is moves along this direction. So here we can find some angle. What is that? Here this is the reflected ray and this is the light ray which is undeviated. So the angle between these two, the light ray which is undeviated and the reflected ray, is known as the angle of deviation. So where the angle of deviation is represented with the letter delta, and we can represent as this with a name angle of deviation. Now what is angle of deviation? Angle of deviation means it is the angle made by the reflected ray and extended incident ray. If there is no deviation takes place, we may call that is undeviated ray. The angle made by the extended incident ray and reflected ray is called angle of deviation. Now what you observe in this diagram, a ray is coming from the source of light and is incident at one point. From that point it is reflected back to the same medium. So this phenomenon is known as a reflection or reflection of a light. Now what is the definition of reflection of light? Reflection of light means simply we can say that the phenomenon of bouncing back of a light ray. The phenomenon of bouncing back of a light ray when it is incident on the reflecting surface. If a light ray is incident on the reflecting surface, it undergoes reflection. So that the phenomenon of reflection of a light ray when it is incident on a reflecting surface is called reflection. This phenomenon is known as reflection of light. Now I'll recall the terms once again, where mm dash is the mirror or reflecting surface, and P is the incident light ray, and the Q is the reflected light ray, and is the normal. Now see, the angle made by the P is reflected incident ray and the surface of the mirror is known as glancing angle of incidence, where G is called glancing angle of incidence. Glancing angle of incidence. And similarly, here the ray which makes the reflector made a angle with the surface of the reflecting object, that is called glancing angle of refraction. It is represented by ZR. Here, according to the two laws of reflection, I is equals to R, and here if I is equals to R, then GI is also equals to ZR. So now this is the reflection of light.